On a September morning in 1922, two bodies were found beneath a crabapple tree in New Brunswick, New Jersey. The man was the Reverend Edward Hall, a prominent Episcopal minister. The woman was Eleanor Mills, a married choir singer from his church. Both were shot and left side by side, their love letters scattered around them like confetti of scandal. I'm Mike Cobb, and this is the story of the Hall Mills murders. I share the stories that shape the narrative. This is one of them. It was the kind of discovery that stops a small town in its tracks. A respected minister dead. A parishioner, not his wife, dead beside him. But this wasn't just a murder investigation. It became one of the most sensational scandals of the Jazz Age. Reverend Hall was charismatic, well-spoken, and some would say a little too attentive to his choir member, Eleanor Mills. She, in turn, was described as romantic and outspoken, trapped in an unhappy marriage to a working-class man. Their secret relationship wasn't that much of a secret, really. Parishioners whispered, neighbors noticed. But to see the two of them lying in death in such a public, dramatic way, it was as if the private gossip of New Brunswick had been splashed across the headlines for the entire country to see. Very quickly, suspicion fell on Reverend Hall's wife, Frances Stevens Hall. She was wealthy, socially prominent, and fiercely protective of her reputation. Alongside her were her brothers. The Stevens family had been influencers and had both influence and resources. Prosecutors painted a picture of a jealous wife, vengeful brothers catching the lovers in the act and silencing them forever. But there was no clear physical evidence. No one ever saw Frances or her brothers pull a trigger. And the crime scene itself, it had been trampled on by onlookers, reporters, and curiosity seekers before police could properly secure it. In 1926, 4 years after the murders, Frances Hall and her two brothers finally went on trial. The case was a media circus. Reporters compared it to a real-life opera. Wealth, infidelity, family honor, murder. The prosecution leaned on circumstantial evidence and the testimony of questionable witnesses. But the defense attorneys hammered away at the gaps, the lack of hard proof, the inconsistencies in eyewitness stories. In the end, the jury acquitted them all. Frances Hall walked free, and the murders of Edward Hall and Eleanor Mills officially remain unsolved to this day. What makes the Hall Mills case so fascinating, even a century later, is how it reflects its era. America in the 1920s was obsessed with scandal. Ministers falling from grace, women fighting for independence, newspapers hungry for sensation. This case had it all. And yet, at its core, it still is just a human tragedy. Two people who risked everything for love, cut down violently, their secrets laid bare in death. Cases like this are why I study murders, especially unsolved ones. They're not just about crime. They're about people, power, reputation, and the stories that echo long after the headlines fade. You can learn more about me and my books at MikeCobbWriter.com. Thank you for viewing.